to talk to women honestly and openly about, oh, what are you going through with this process of life? I mean, I don't remember, obviously when you got your period, all the girls got their periods, but it wasn't like, ooh, did you get it? It just was expected that sooner or later you're going to get it.
Yep.
And now, yeah, sooner or later, if you're lucky enough, as Bridget likes to say, if you're lucky enough to live long enough, you're going to go through menopause. It's just going to happen. And then you're going to be free from periods. So that's a nice side effect.
That was a good thing. That was a
Ah,
good thing.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We
I
save
was,
money there.
yes.
Right.
Yeah. Which is a whole nother topic. I'm so, those should not be taxed. Those products should not be taxed. Why are we taxing those?
You know,
100%. Preach, Bridget. Preach.
yes, we get on our soapboxes,
I
and then an
know.
hour later, we're like, "Oops, we forgot we were interviewing."
We forgot what we were talking about. Yeah.
That's okay. I'm going to give you a step stool for the soapbox.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
it's
you.
and it's just we get so frustrated that you mentioned the term menopause, and women are like cannot run away from you fast enough. It's like, you're old. Oh, you must
Yeah.
be. Oh, no,
Well, the
we're
funny thing is, I started mentioning it even on the Chew, and I just talk
Mhm.
about it when I was doing something. It may have been on holiday baking, and somebody had given us something I had forgotten. I said, "Ooh, child, must be menopause."
Uh-huh.
I mention it every turn because it should be something in
Yeah.
our regular vocabulary and thought.
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah, it should be. It
exactly.
should be. And I know my mother, she had 12 children. So and she's like, I don't
Can you
remember ever
imagine?
having that. And like, well, you were pregnant during menopause or perimenopause.
Right, right, right. You're
Because
busy.
after she had my youngest sister, it was like she goes, well, after I had her, I never had a period again. And part of me is like, I bet that doctor just yanked everything out and didn't tell you. I
Pushed
don't
out our
know.
uterus right with the
Like, oh,
baby.
you just fine. Yeah, yeah. It's like, we're going to make sure she doesn't have any more kids. And I don't know that. I don't know that for sure.
No, I
They're
know.
both
Oh,
they're both
sure,
gone.
you
So
don't, Emily.
yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
you won't be back.
yeah,
Why? Don't
yeah.
worry, you won't
You're
be
done.
back.
You're done.
Do you feel a little lighter? Do you
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
missing
yeah.
something?
Okay. Oh.
So in line with the Chew, you started that at 47. You were saying
Yeah, I was like 40, 48, 40,
48.
47,
Wow.
47, 40.
Okay, you did not look
47.
48.
You at
Because
all?
we used to watch, my mother loved watching The Chew, and she loved you because she would do your dances, and you she thought it was so great. But yeah, so you, first of all, there, that's just off topic, but you did not.
Yeah.
I was like, no, she can't, she wasn't 48 on that show.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. But
I
anyway,
Was
remember
I'm
that
sorry,
turning
Colleen.
50. Yeah, I remember turning
a?
Wow.
50 on the Chew. We had a big
That's a great
party.
place to
Yeah,
term. I think I remember that actually. I think I remember the party. Was seeing that or
yeah,
something.
Yeah, they had me
yeah.
around going on a throne like a queen.
Yes, I do remember. I do remember that.
That's
What was
awesome.
what was the experience of the Chew like? What was it like coming?
I have to tell you, it was one of the best
Mhm.
experiences. And I was going to say job, but it didn't feel like a job. Um, I loved my co-hosts. We're all really good friends. It was like a family. It was like coming of age in a different way on television, but having these people who could actually coach me and help me and just become more confident and just feeling safe, like you had a net around you. And it was I don't think we really realized how special in terms of our camaraderie because we were close and we respected each other, that trickled down to the crew.
Mhm.
And so when you go to other places and there's not that camaraderie and respect, you're like, oh wait, what
Mhm.
this feels
That's
very different.
true.
But I carry that with me, and every single person is important on a set, and I carry that with whatever show I do. It's that thing, and I owe it all to the Chew.
Wow, what a great experience to have, like, for that show. I mean, so but you were Top Chef before that, or
Right,
on
Right.
that.
right.
How
So I
did
did.
that all come about? Yeah.
So I did Top Chef season 5, and I
Mhm.
was 44. That you know, a woman who I'm in an organization called Les Dames d'Escoffier, and It's an organization of female chefs and women in the food industry, and the president had submitted my name. I didn't know about Top Chef. I had just found out about it and I binged it. And then somebody called me about it, and I was like, this is a crank call. How is that? It was literally within a month. And then,
Wow.
um, so I went through the application process and interviewing process. And so I was on that show. And then they came back 3 years later saying, will you do it again? I'm like, absolutely not.
Oh.
So when they were doing All Stars,
Mm-hmm.
and the producers called me and the high ups called me, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do it. I hate competing. And then they were like, well, what do you want to promote? And I remember thinking, I hate catering. The only reason I went on that show is to say I don't cater. That was
Mm-hmm.
my reason for going on. I'm going to go on. I didn't know what I was going to do. And then I said, oh, you know what? I think I just want to make cookies. And that's why I went on the show.
Okay. Wow. Wow.
But then you go from competing to judging. So you do have that
Yes.
understanding of what it's like to compete. How
Mhm.
different
Yes.
was that?
And I actually think that's what makes me a good judge. I think
Mhm.
that's what makes me a compassionate judge. I learned so much from the judges table at Top Chef, because if you were on the top, you got feedback. Even if you were on the bottom, you got feedback. When you were in the middle, you didn't really get anything. So when I am judging someone's dish, I think about it as if I was making it and I wanted to make it again, or if I wanted to get it, if I wanted to tweak it. This is what's going on in my head, and this is the feedback that I give the baker.
Mhm. I think,
That
yeah,
is.
I think that's really important because I don't know how many have been in that situation when they're judges on different shows like that.
Mhm.
And I think that is, I would much rather come have somebody like you on the judging end. But I've also heard so much from different people who have done competitive shows how difficult it is. I
Yes.
mean, yeah, just exhausting.
We interviewed Mindy Cohn, who was on The Worst Chefs, and she said that they made Barbara Eden cry. And she said, "Who makes Barbara Eden
Oh my
cry?"
gosh. Yeah. See, it's not productive because you shut
Hmm.
down. And when somebody shuts down, they can't take in any information. I mean, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the baker. But I think most of all, it is processing, and you have to realize that judging is subjective. So there are times when I will eat something, if it takes me back to food memory, that is a really strong place to be. And even if it's not technically perfect, it was still perfect for me because it carried me somewhere. And I will still give that dessert high marks, even though other judges are saying this is wrong with it, this is wrong with it. I'm like, I know, but this is what's right about it.
Hmm. 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 Yeah.
With the chew, so you have an hour or really 40
Mhm.
minutes with commercials. Was there, because you really weren't in the entertainment industry, did you fangirl over some of the people that walked onto that stage?
Oh, did I fangirl? Oh my gosh. I remember the first time Jamie Oliver came to the show, and this was season 1, and I had been loving Jamie Oliver even when I wasn't cooking. So when I was modeling and I was in London, I learned about him, and he had this food ministry. I was like, "Oh my god." So when he came to the show, I was like, "Oh my god, Jamie Oliver, I loved you so much." And I'm taller than he is, and I'm bearing over him, and I'm looking in his eyes, and I am just like, "My husband knows that I love you, so it's okay that I can declare my love for you right now because I've known you for so long, and I can't believe that you're standing in front of me, and we're here, and we're gonna cook together. We're gonna." I'm like, and he is literally backing up, and like almost like a back bend, and looking up at me, and Mario says, "Okay, if there's not a reason for a restraining order, I don't know what is." And from that point on, they told me, okay, you have to meet the guests beforehand because you can get all of that out. you can, then you can calm down. But yeah, I mean, when Clinton met Beth, gosh, what's her name? From, gosh, he lost it. He was shaking the entire
Beth.
time. It was a
Oh,
surprise. Whoa, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. What?
Brain
Oh,
fog, brain fog.
yeah. I'm
total
trying to
brain
think of
fog.
somebody named Beth.
Beth.
So, oh my God, what was
Actress?
she was an actress and it was a movie that she was in, and it was a surprise. And when
Oh,
he saw her, he literally jumped, and he was like, oh my, he was like, oh, I mean, his knees are coming up to his face, and he is like, like the pee dance and all of that. He was losing all
just
Bodily
bodily
everything.
functions.
functions. Oh my God, Beth. Oh my God, I don't know why I
I don't
can't
know a Beth
remember.
actress that's
Oh
I'm
coming
my
to
trying to
mind.
think
gosh.
of
I
a
mean, from
Beth.
back in the day, an 80s film,
Oh,
and
Oh,
okay.
he lost it. So we all had our fan moments,
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have
You're,
to be
yeah,
like so calm and be like, hello, and we're going to bake and
yeah.
not
We
coming from
didn't
that world.
Yeah, but you know what? We didn't try to be robots about it. We're not reporting
Right.
the news. I mean, this is lifestyle. So we can be fun and funny and weird, and we can make mistakes, and I remember when Clinton was trying to get this tart tatin out of the pan, and he flipped it over and it went everywhere, and we laughed, but like, this will happen to somebody at home. It's okay. And so we welcomed mistakes and and missteps, because we could correct on air, and that made great TV, because we're human. We didn't
hmm
mind showing our human selves.
hmm
And
And I think that's what made the Chew so likable, because you did that. And it probably that's another part that probably made all of you get along so well and kind of ease, because then you're not, oh gosh, I better not make a mistake. I better not
Right.
do this. It was just easy for
right.
you.
And
Yeah.
over food, that's where conversation happens. Like, where do
Yes.
you all
hmm
Yes.
congregate? The kitchen. Where do you have
Mm-hmm.
your best
hmm
conversations over dinner? So it was a great combination to have
hmm
conversations with people that are well known. There's a Beth Littleford. Could that be
No, that's
her?
not it. I
Beth
could be
Howland.
I could be
I'm
getting the
literally
name
Beth
wrong.
Miller, Beth
She's looking up all the
Howland.
Beths now
It's probably not even Beth.
yeah,
Because now I'm like
from the
obsessed.
80s.
Now I'm
I
gonna go back
know,
and
I
watch the
know.
Choose.
I'll have to
Yeah.
tell you who it was. I'm gonna text
We're gonna
Clinton,
have
like,
to YouTube when
yeah,
Clinton freaks out.
yeah.
Clinton will have to come on the show and talk about his freak out.
Oh
That's
my
Yes,
what
God,
we'll
you
have
yes.
to
know what
do.
else was really fun? When we dressed up for Halloween.
I love
Yeah,
those
I bet
episodes.
that was.
Your
Yeah.
So
holiday
fun.
ones, just from Halloween to Christmas, love
hmm
those.
hmm
Ah, it was so fun. I'm gonna ask Clinton. I'm gonna text him and ask him who was the person.
Yeah,
Um,
oh, good.
I,
That he freaked out with. That's awesome. Oh
I
man.
wanted to ask you about, and I'm sure you've been asked before, but I want to ask about your mantra, which is say yes, adventure follows, and then growth. That's
mhm.
so wonderful. Why is it your mantra, and how has it kind of helped you through some of these experiences?
So this started out. My mantra started out with someone asking me, what would your 6 words of advice be for someone? And I thought about my life, and for 2 days straight I was going through 6 words, and then I thought about how I always say yes to something, and then what does that feel like? And then you say yes, and then you have an adventure, and then on the other side of that adventure you grow, and then it's rinse and repeat.
Mhm,
And so that's how that sort of became my thing. And when I say yes to something, and I talk about, excuse me, I talk about this on my podcast, because saying yes doesn't mean it's an easy yes. It just means that I know I'm saying yes to learning.
mhm,
And that helps our brains. It helps us stay young. That helps us challenge ourselves. And there's something that is necessary about that. And when you're fearful of saying yes, you stay in such a small box. So I think by having that as my mantra, I have said yes to things that I never thought I would do. I've said yes to stand up comedy when it's probably the scariest thing I've ever done. I've said yes to getting into a race car with AJ Allmendinger. And, I mean, I've said yes to so many things. And when I look back on them, sometimes it was scary. Sometimes I wanted to just sit in the corner and start rocking, but I'm like, okay, I can have this adventure and I can get to the other side and I'm going to be better for it.
That is so cool. Yeah.
And
And
that's
maybe that race car might have been before you went back to DC and tried to
Yeah.
drive.
Right?
she wasn't in the driver's seat. That was
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I was strapped in, and oh my gosh,
Yeah,
have you all
sure.
ever been in a race car with anybody?
No. What's
I
that
haven't.
like?
My husband worked for a company that sponsored a race car driver, and he said you can't really even move. Can you not even like once you're in
No.
there? Yeah, yeah.
They strap you in, and I can understand why it's so physical. You have to be strapped in. I was bruised along my clavicle, so strapped in, and then the force of the car. It was
Mhm.
incredible and still scary, but I'm like, okay, this person knows what they're doing, but uh yeah.
Give
Oh,
you
that's
credit.
he said like I guess your spotters or whoever they are telling the driver what to do, like while they're in there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
No, thank you. No,
No.
thank you.
Colleen's like, no.
I'm too much of a control freak. Yeah, it just wouldn't work for me.
She knows.
See, that's why I used to say yes, Colleen. Say yes, and see what follows, then grow. That's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah,
Say
that's
yes,
true.
Yeah.
see what follows.
But then I have to start wearing the Depends to go in there.
Oh my gosh, we have not talked
Once.
about the tinkle. Lord have mercy. The
Yeah.
tinkle. So funny story. I was talking to one of my friends, and she was at a movie and she was laughing. She called me, she was laughing so hysterically she couldn't stop. I'm like, what is so funny? She's like, oh my gosh, I was with a bunch of people. I was reaching into my bag to get a tissue and I pulled out a panty liner because I had the tinkle problem. And she just howled. And the thought of that. But I was doing recess on IG Live and I was on a trampoline and I had to talk about it. I'm like, y'all,
Yeah. Mhm.
this
Yeah.
can only last for 10 minutes because it's drip, drip, drip. And it's not about the information that I'm sharing with you. It literally is my body.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I
And
hope
we
to talk to
we
somebody
are
that
yeah,
does
we do have
pelvic
somebody
floor.
coming on
Yeah,
this show.
because yeah, that is something you're like, surely there's something we could do to get this.
There's diet. There is obviously working on your pelvic floor muscles.
Mhm.
I'm doing
Is
it.
really important. You're
Yeah,
Kegeling
yeah.
right now as
You're
we
giggling
speak.
right now.
Thank you.
That's what Sherry,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Sherry is so funny. She's like, I bet you're all giggling right now. Like she'll say
She's like,
that when we're talking
I
to her.
just did 20 of them while I'm talking
Right
to you. I'm
now.
like,
Yeah.
okay, now.
She actually is selling a product on her website. Isn't she like calling that little thing?
Yeah,
that's
it's
supposed to,
Ursha.
like
A Kegel
Ke-
balls.
the Kegel, yeah, Kegel, like these little Kegel
You,
balls.
you insert them and you literally just because some women don't know how to do a Kegel, like to
Okay.
stop the. So this kind of teaches you how. You just squeeze the ball and there you go.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that
Just
is
a
something
thought.
else. Yeah.
Move
But
over,
yeah.
Perry. There's a new girl in town.
Yes, that's right.
Connie, we call incontinence Connie, Perry and Connie. There you go.
Connie.
Yes.
But
Oh.
it's, you know what? It's great. It's great. It's all those things that, if you giggle too hard, you're like, oops, okay, never mind.
Right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And
I'm
instead
like,
of
there's
sharing
your
it,
adventure. You got on a trampoline. Good. Like,
oh,
there she is doing her adventure, her growth,
there
her
you go.
saying yes.
That's some growth right there. There you go.
Yes.
That's some growth. So you do have a podcast and it's called Say Yes.
Yes.
And is that kind of your theme, saying yes to stuff? And
It is, but it really, in this podcast, I talk to people about how life isn't a straight line and how through adversity we get better and we get stronger. And that's what it's about because everybody has been through it. And when you look at celebrities, you think, oh, they had a really easy life. How can I get where they are? No, they still have had bumps along the way. They just kept going.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, people don't realize that about celebrities too. And I don't think they realize how hard it really is, whatever field you're in, but especially being on a set
Yes.
is a long, long day. And
Mhm.
it's a lot of hurry up and wait, but it's also a very long day. And you don't realize what they put into it or just how hard it is to even get there.
I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you, worst cooks, it was 12 to 14 hours a day, 2 days to shoot one episode.
Wow.
So that's 24 to 28 hours to shoot an episode. And then you go into the next thing. It was exhausting.
Mhm.
I I have never worked that hard. I mean, since I felt like working in a restaurant, it was hard. And I looked at Anne Burrell, and I'm like, girl, let me get on my knees and bow down to you. She is amazing.
Wow.
Wow.
So it is not easy. And so, and then
Is it
once you
just,
do
I was just saying, is it just getting the angles? Like what takes so
no,
long?
you're actually, no, see, that's the difference between a scripted show and unscripted. So a scripted show, you have angles and all of that. Unscripted, they set up the cameras and you still have these cooks. So when these recruits are doing the cooks, and so let's say it's an hour. So then before that, Anne and I both have to teach them how to make whatever dish. So that's the teaching part. And then you are setting up the games and everything, and that has a time period. But that's not actually, it's not timed. So it's active time. And then there is some sitting and waiting, but you have to be there to go back, jump back into the set. So but then for the finale, it's a 3 hour teaching session after you've done all of the other things during that day. And then when they're cooking, it's another 3 hours that they have. So you're just intense watching and cooking and doing for that long period of time.
Wow. I mean, that is, yeah, because I've only done like background on shows, and they're like, okay, no, go back up here. Okay, now they're ready for you. Okay, wait, they're not ready yet. You're going to be ready in 20 minutes. No, they're not ready
Yeah.
yet. Okay, come back. But
Right. So
yeah,
that, yes.
yeah,
Mhm.
that is, yeah.
And do
And
you,
you're in usually a studio, no outside lighting or anything, and it's not easy, you know.
Mhm.
do you have to sit there and watch them cook? Like
Yes.
when they say you have 3 hours to make this dish, you literally have to sit there and watch them.
We are literally there. And so we can coach them, we can pop back in. So there is no downtime. So we teach them, they come in to cook, and then we're still there watching.
Goodness.
That
That could
is
be,
a
yeah,
long
that's long.
day.
You know, and to me, that sounds like a long 4 hours. You got your quick 4 hours or your 3 hours. That's a long,
Yes.
yeah, three
Yes.
Yeah.
hours. Yeah, I think, yeah, because I've worked in restaurants too, and 4 hours when you're running around and doing, bussing tables or waiting on tables, that's quick. But
Mhm.
no, I would say watching someone else cook has got to be difficult. Yes.
Girl.
How
Yes.
Yeah.
is it working on GMA as a culinary contributor?
So I don't do it anymore, but coming into GMA, and it's very newsy. So it's interesting that you asked that because going from the Chew, which was under lifestyle and entertainment, and then doing GMA, it's under news. So
Right.
even the atmosphere is very different. But I still get a little giddy. So seeing Michael Strahan and Robin Roberts and Lara and George Stephanopoulos, I mean, coming like, so I see them because they're transitioning from that show to GMA 3, which now it's a totally different show, and I'm so happy for TJ. Oh my gosh. Um, that was a mind switch, just in energy, period. So when you talk about how the Chew was so loosey goosey, and they wanted to have that for the GMA, the third hour, Strahan and Sarah and Kiki Strahan, Kiki, they changed the name like three
Yeah, they
times.
kept
So
it.
uh,
Mhm.
that's a bad sign. No, okay, so sorry. um, so um, they wanted to be loosey goosey, but the energy in the building is news. So it's
Right.
it's really hard to switch to change the energy because you have to go back from news lifestyle, and that was a really hard shift. So my hat goes off to them. But that said, also, okay, whenever we did GMA, they always wanted to do like 4 dishes, and you have like 6 minutes. Whereas on the Chew, you got to breathe, and they're like, "Go, be fabulous." And when I became the contributor, I was like, if that is the plan, I don't want to do it because you can't really teach in that in that environment. You're just throwing stuff out there, you know. So that was hard. I'm just this is my stream of consciousness as I'm just
No, but
talking
that's
about
true
this.
because
Yeah.
they do have a limited amount of time,
Hmm.
and most of the time it's like, and look, it's already done, and here you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and then
But
they want to
6
ask you
dishes.
questions. Don't ask me any questions. Is it about the dish or is it about the question? Just give me.
Yeah.
And then they're coming down the line. So they're all of these chefs. When we went on as the Chew, I mean, granted that was on GMA, but we went on as the Chew. We were each have a recipe, and they're like, "Oh, you all have 6 minutes," and then like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you have 4 minutes." You know what? That other segment went long. You have 3 minutes, but you're gonna do it. Go, be fabulous.
Go be fabulous. You can handle it. Just go.
Yeah, 30 seconds. Each of you have 30 seconds to talk about yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Oh
We
my
also
goodness.
wanted to make sure that the listeners knew that you have a book coming out towards the end of the year. Can you talk about
Yeah.
it's a children's book.
It's a children's book. This is my first one. I've wanted to do a children's book forever. And this one's called The Christmas Cornbread. And it is set in the 70s. So it's little Carla. And not to give too much away, but I also have this paper mache doll called Bubba. And Bubba was a character that I have been drawing since I was in the 5th grade. And a couple years ago, Matthew for Christmas got me an art class in France, and it was paper mache. And I actually made Bubba for the first time in 3D. So Bubba makes an appearance in my book, and instead of Christmas cookies, we do Christmas cornbread because I'm from Tennessee in the
Mhm.
South,
Mhm.
and so it is. It's really special and really sweet, and the art um, is by Sharice Harris. And I'm like, we
Mhm.
have the same, and this was her first book, her first children's book.
Okay.
And it was amazing. And it's by Deneen Milner Books. And I'm so excited about it.
Good.
I have goosebumps. I'm just,
Oh,
it's
that's
one of those say
awesome.
yeses, and I'm super
Oh,
excited about it.
well, I'm excited to read it because I love that was my favorite part of teaching was reading to the kids and
Yes.
reading. Yes. So I can't wait to read it. I
Yes.
don't have any grandchildren, but I have tons of great nieces and nephews and I'm like reading to them all the time. So
And see,
still have all my classroom books.
I love reading too. I love being read to. I love reading, which is why I'm also on the board of an organization called the Pajama Program, and that's about reading to kids, and and also their sleep and making good nights lead to good days, and just going to the reading centers and reading to inner city children and having that just their imagination
Mhm.
groomed so they can dream. Ah, I love reading to kids.
I do too. That was my most favorite thing. I still miss it. During the pandemic, I actually started reading. I had to get permission, but I did little videos where I read, uh, like the
Yes.
And
neighbors.
she ended up on, wasn't it Good Morning America?
I did end up on Good Morning.
She ended
Just
up
a
on
second.
GMA.
They give you like
Oh, come on, give
2 seconds.
yourself credit.
Somebody in Washington, actually, I don't know how we even connected. We were on some group on Facebook and they were wanting people to read to the children's hospital. So they saw somebody that saw my stories sent this lady my name and then they said, can we use some segments of your stories on Good Morning America? And it was like 2 seconds, but hey, I was happy. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I still miss. I still do volunteer work, but I can't go to the schools now.
Right.
But I was doing that. Would go like once a month, and there was a program here where you could get books to children. So it's called Book 'em, and we go in and we get you go in and get a book for the classroom, and so every child got 5 free books a year uh,
I love
at the
that.
classroom you visited. So it's awesome. It's a great program. So I'm so excited about your book because I'm like, oh, I got to read that to my nieces and
Thank
nephews.
you.
Right.
Yes.
Please come back on when it comes out. We would love to talk about it and see how
Mhm.
your year has progressed in the new house and your old house, new
Yes.
house.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. This
Y-
has been so much fun. I feel like I've been sitting down chatting with friends about all the stuff that's just in my head and,
Oh,
We
that is what we want. So
Yes, our goal
good.
is just
Yes.
for the listeners to feel like they are at a table with you, either drinking a cup of coffee or having a glass of wine and chatting. And it was so
Yes.
much fun. So
It
thank you so
was.
much for
Thank
coming
you.
on. And please come back on soon.
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun talking to Carla Hall.
Yay.
I just felt that time just passed, and I know we took a lot of her time, but it passed so quickly. I think I talk in there about quick time and slow time. That was quick time. And just the energy that she shares and everything that she shares with us. I just thought that was fantastic. I hope that you enjoyed this. I know you did. I know you did, listeners, that you enjoyed this this talk because it was so much fun. And make sure that you check out her podcast, her Say Yes podcast. She does have a website as well. I believe it's carlahall.com. I know that I've looked on it.
Yes.
And look for her children's book coming out around December, The Christmas Cornbread. And check us out. We've got our website, hotflashescooltopics.com. If you have something you want to talk about or know more about, send us an email, hotflashescooltopics@gmail.com. And we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're on Pinterest. We share our episodes on YouTube as long as everything technically works out. That they do.
Yes, check out our YouTube channel because we've got some great episodes on there. And you can actually see us because we tape most of the conversations on Zoom with video.
So you'll be able to see that. And on days when I'm like today, when I'm having a bad hair day, you can see that.
And relate to the fact
not that
we are all
great, but it is really just driving me crazy right now. So
I had to do the little spray gray.
Oh, did you? You can see my grays.
So I had to do my little L'Oreal.
I've got my little gray halo around my face right now. So.
It's all relatable, ladies. And Carla really, she's talk about relatable. Like I really felt like she's in Nashville right now. And I was like, oh, well, if it wasn't COVID, we could just go have lunch.
Yes.
I always like to ingratiate myself with people so that a temporary restraining order comes out.
Yeah.
But make sure to press that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any upcoming episodes. Have a great week, guys, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye.